Good morning. Anyone who can see me out there. I wanted to continue working on the turkey today, and I was starting to work on the back, and I didn't have any time to really work on it in the past few days. So I'll be doing that this morning a little bit. But with the holidays coming, it's a crazy time. So I may be a little bit, I guess, inconsistent with my morning live streams until after the holidays. But so far, so good. So this morning, I had been talking so much about um, how the plaster model um, uh, serves to make porcelain sculptures. And when you make a porcelain, it shrinks down uh, about 16%. It depends on the porcelain body, the type of porcelain. But here's an old plaster model that we had several casts of this head. Um, this full size was used for bronze, and you can kind of see the way the hair was done, and just beautifully done. Chuck Oldham did this head, and let's close up of the ear in there, and just you can get a good sense. This is just plaster. The coloration on it was lacquer. We used to use lacquer to coat the plaster in the end to harden it before mold making again. So this got a mold on it. And then the one for porcelain, here's a piece that uses that same head, but the smallness is what's notable. And so now let me hold them right side by side. You can see they're exactly side by side. Look at the shrinkage factor. Let's see if I can bring it down and maybe have it at the same distance, same view, and you can kind of see how much bigger the original. And this is the original clay size. So the original clay, we used Chavant clay. Actually, Chuck Oldham did this piece. So he used Chavant clay. Let me be right at the same distance from the camera, right there. And so this was brown clay when it was first made. And then he did a plaster mold on that clay because the whole idea was to originally to have it for porcelain. So this porcelain piece, we got an inset bottom. There's our trademark. And you can see, what is the date on that? Let's see. Well, I think it's 1993, 91, 91. So you can really see. Uh, and I did the finishing, the porcelain finishing and the china painting in multiple stages. So all these were separate parts. Let me turn my music down just a bit here. Let's see. We got some background music there. So all of these were separate parts. The body part, the hand piece coming up here, the baby's head, the mother's head. And when you cast the plaster, you have to reassemble, cast the porcelain into the plaster. You have to reassemble all those parts. And so they're hollow. And this whole thing is hollow. And that's what makes porcelain. You can't see it here, but light comes through fine quality porcelain. And this is what they call hard paste porcelain we did in our own studio. And that's our homemade decal with a poem on the back. So we thought this would be a nice gift for uh, women who had just had children. And so the bronze I didn't bring down because it's very heavy. The bronze is the full size. So if you want to cast in metal like bronze, you take your original clay and now you're going to make a rubber mold on it. And then you're going to have that cast in wax. The wax is going to melt out of the mold, and um, the rest is going to be turned into cast metal like bronze. So that's just a little overview of things I've been talking about. And when I haven't got a lot of new process, uh, just going forward on the clay, I haven't made a lot of progress. I'll try to bring out things that we've done in the past so you can learn as you go what these kind of becoming a lost art, at least in the United States. The mold makers who knew how to cast plaster molds for ceramics and porcelain, a lot of those people are gone. They got old and they're gone. And so this is um, going to be kind of a hard art to come back and learn about again. I guess through colleges, art departments are doing plaster molds for ceramics, but not so much for porcelain. So it's nice to be able to at least share what I learned over the years to make fine porcelain. A lot of steps, a lot of stages, and hard to find it all in one place. So I decided, okay, well, after telling you about that, and I have a little time left, I will start back on the tail of the turkey, having my tea here. And what I decided I needed at this point was I needed to fire up the video and really look at it again because the diagrams are great to get the initial proportions, and I've got the back started there. But what you want to do is once you get through your initial measuring and you're on track, and I feel like I'm on track with this. I've measured, if you're new here, my diagrams are free. It's the Wild Turkey Sculpture Project Guide. You can download from the links on these live streams. And so like for the tail in the back, I'd measure across and it would match my measurements. And I'd go through all these different diagrams until I got those measurements right. Once I get those measurements right, I go back to the videos I took screenshots from, and I play them until I get the right position and just pause them. And you get to see the detail that you've kind of missed on the in-between areas, even the close-ups. Look at that head close-up. There is so much information there. I mean, you could make diagrams within diagrams as you go along to really perfect a realistic clay sculpture, which is our objective here. So to try to do realistic clay sculptures, even if you don't get all of that little detail in there, you're aware of it and you can see what areas from an artistic point of view you want to emphasize or de-emphasize. But to be able to be able to get the real information for the entire piece, video close up, especially like these. Look at that headshot there. You can't beat that. So, so I have my clay heating over here, and this is the way I've worked for years. This is a different clay than I had when I first got started, but it's by the same company, Siobhan. And wow, this clay got really hot. It's funny because this is a plate warmer I use and I can touch it. As you can see, I'll move back. But the clay gets really hot as if it absorbs more energy. And when it's really hot, it's easy to mush up. And so I'm just going to continue where I was here. And I was looking at my diagram still because I'm bringing those wings back. And as you observe these, they actually do form almost a tripod, hitting all the way to the ground with the legs as they display. So that creates a good sculpture option because you don't need to have all kinds of support to make the feet. When we're done, we'll articulate the feet right there. So I'm just going to take my clay, which is kind of like icing when it's heated, and just bring those wing tips down where they need to be. Now, once it just sits out, then I can do it with my hands just fine, and it's nice and warm. So I'll continue on the other side. It's kind of hard for you to see from there. I can try to bring it up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Just layering on that warm clay right there. Oh, let me go back before we lose our video. There we go. So there's so much information. Look at that. I mean, is that not wild or what? You're a crazy looking bird. But I mean, I think you could really make an impression with your friends and family doing a turkey for Thanksgiving. And whether it's an abstract looking turkey or a realistic looking turkey, the thing that really makes it recognizable is keeping the proportions um, believable. I think believable is the way to, not realistic is the wrong word because you can, work it to death, but to have it believable is what you want. I think. At least that's my objective. You may have a different objective. Um, so when I was working, believability was all about making a living. So doing these kinds of projects for the big giftware companies, um, the more realistic and more believable it was, the more likely we were to get another contract. So far AI can't do exactly this kind of thing. It can um, make sculpture from small pieces though. For example, if I took this to a foundry that has a laser sculpting machine, this could be pointed up automatically to a larger size, like a real turkey size. So you can make smaller sculptures and then have the machine cut foam. And then as the artist, you still have to go back over it and refine it, put clay on top of it. There's still a lot of work involved, but um, you can imagine, I'm looking at some of these wing lengths as I work. You can imagine if you had to do a small one and then had to point it up from there by yourself. That would be hard. And in the old days, marble was done by pointing up using a special machine, a stone carver's machine. It was, when I say machine, it had reference points, and you take it over here, and then you take it over here, and you could enlarge a sculpture and go from clay to marble very accurately. So you wonder how they did all that stuff. Um, if you look up methods for stone sculpture, you'll find some amazing information on how that was done. Like Michelangelo didn't just start from a big block of marble. He did a small piece first, and then they pointed it up. So I know you think, how do you, oh, it's all subtractive. How do they do that without making a mistake? Well, they know where they're going. It's like a roadmap, just like this provides a roadmap for where you're going, or these other views. If you haven't seen this yet, I have lots of views going both ways, and the front view, which looks really strange, but you measure it up and it comes out in the end. And then if you want to articulate the feathers, which I'm going to try to do next week, you certainly can do that. So I laugh every time I watch them. That's a great shot right there. Let's pause that. Once again, see the value of watching a video is you can just have your live model right there and just pause it and go crazy. So I think I'll stop here for today, but I just hope you got some new information today. Every day, my goal will be to give you some new information and kind of share my knowledge from many years of sculpting. Sometimes it's a lot of work and it's a long process, but it's almost magical. In the end, you have something you didn't have before. It never existed before. So I hope you enjoy watching and it inspires you to learn sculpting. Bye. See you next week, Monday. Bye-bye.